Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I have seen reviews, but I can't remember which were the shadows people had found with. So happy video day, guys. Today's video, we're gonna be doing a first impression on a product that I really wanted to buy. And I think if you guys have seen my kind of like virtual window shoppings, I've talked about this one a few times. I said I was gonna buy it, and then I said maybe I won't buy it, and I got it for Christmas. So since I got it for Christmas, I am so excited because I actually really wanted this. And the product I'm talking about is the Natasha Denona Safari Palette. Now, this palette has gotten, I would say, mixed reviews. Some people really like it, and I've heard some people say that it's patchy. So I've had like mixed feelings about it. At first I was like, oh my gosh, because if you guys look at this palette, just look at those colors. Isn't that the most beautiful palette? Like, to a makeup lover, I think that this was such a cool color selection. Like, just everything about these mattes were just like beautiful. So when I saw this palette announced, I was like, it's mine, I need it. It's super expensive. So it kind of got me a little like, well, maybe I'll wait. And I waited. I saw a few reviews that I was like, I don't know. And then I started seeing some reviews that I was like, okay. So I kind of just said, well, I really want this palette, and I kind of like threw it out there, and I got it for Christmas. We're gonna do a first impression on it. We're gonna create this eye look. You guys will see what I'm thinking while I'm applying it, and yeah, we'll get into everything about the palette right now. So before we get into how I created this eye look and all that stuff, I just want to give you guys a few details on this palette. This palette released towards the end of 2018, so this is not like a brand new, it's a brand new release. I mean, come on. It's not like old, it's like a few months old, and that's like not a brand new release anymore. So to me, this is a pretty new release, guys. So it is a completely matte palette from Natasha Denona. Natasha Denona is notorious for her mattes. Her matte formula really is a very blendable, beautiful, silky formula. It's actually probably my favorite formula from her. I like her shimmers and stuff, but I just feel like her mattes are just like beautiful. So that was one of the reasons that I really wanted this palette. And this palette has 15 new sophisticated shades. So I'm gonna read to you guys what Natasha Denona says here. So the color scheme in this palette is safari inspired, offering wearable, warm, cool, muted tones and unique medium to dark shades to complement your current collection. Natasha creates the palettes so that any 3 shades in a row can be used to create an entire look. The top row features cool, muted, and gray tones. The middle row is warmer tones, and the bottom row has highly requested rich reddish tones. So monochromatic looks are simple to create by using colors horizontally, and polychromatic looks can be created by using colors vertically. So I thought that was a really creative kind of like color scheme layout of how she created the palette. I just love that. I think it's really intelligent. I really like it. It makes things easy to kind of like think, because I will tell you guys, when you guys look at this palette, you may not think this, but if you do mix some of these colors together, I can see things turning a little muddy, just because you have to kind of have an idea of how colors work and when they mix together what color comes out. So because the colors here are so different in variation and they're not like all very similar in tone, you can mix 2 colors that might create a color that you might say, ooh, what color is that? So I love the fact that she made this simple by letting you know that if you use any of the colors horizontally, you're going to be able to come up with a really good eye look. But if you also go vertically, you can also create an eye look, but also include a pop of color that will mix well with the vertical color. So this blue here would look great with the brown, and also with a pop of this like orangey kind of brown. The green looks great with this tangerine color, and you can also use this color. I love that because it is true. These colors vertically work really well together, and the colors horizontally work really well together. It's an easy way for people to be able to create good eye looks without mixing colors that may create a muddy look if they're put together. I think that shows the makeup artist in Natasha Denona thinking of that, and I really like that a lot. I think it was great. Let's get into how much this palette costs, because the cost is pretty high, guys. This is $129. This is not a cheap palette at all. I feel like Natasha Denona's prices are a little bit on the very pricey side. I do think her formula is beautiful. I love her formula. You do get pretty nice sized pans. I would say, if it was up to me, I would say reduce the size of the pan, like, you know, maybe more like the Urban Decay Born to Run size, and reduce the prices of these palettes because they're so amazing. But because the pan size is bigger and you get this really good formula, you're getting a little bit of a higher price tag. So you just have to know that you're paying a little bit more for a little bit more product, but it is a really good formula. So it just depends on you personally if you're willing to spend that kind of money on an eyeshadow palette. This is the Anastasia Subculture palette. So can you guys see? Those colors are kind of similar, no? Well, if you guys can see the pan size, so I just wanted to show you guys that. If you guys want to see more about that, there's going to be a video coming up that I'm going to be doing a in-depth comparison, and you guys want to see it. I think I'm going to try to turn it into kind of like a series on the channel, so that's going to be coming pretty soon. So I also want to point out that this is limited edition. You're not going to be able to have this forever. At least that's what they're saying right now. It is limited edition. Now, I will tell you that I have seen that sometimes these limited edition palettes, like for example, the Tropic palette, went on sale almost a year after it was released. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the springtime of 2019, if you saw this on sale, I wouldn't be surprised. Now, another thing I want to point out is for any of you makeup artists out there, is the back of these palettes have these little holes here so that you can actually pop out these pans. So like, let's say you love these colors and you want to add them to like a Z palette, you can go ahead and pop these pans out of here. That's what these are for. You could put a needle in there, and you can pop out the pan. So now here's the thing. I kind of like this packaging, which I didn't think I was going to like this packaging, and I just think it's a little bit neater and a little bit more sturdy than the gold palette. Originally, I thought that the gold palette was where it was at when it came to packaging. I loved the leather look. I loved all about it. I love that it looked luxe. It's funny because I fight myself because I feel like this packaging is more user-friendly. I think it's a lot easier to travel with. I think it cleans down a lot better, and I do like the fact that you could pop out these shades, but I feel like for the price, I wanted the gold packaging, which was like the leather, and it looks a little bit more expensive, but I would rather this packaging, if you guys understand what I'm saying. But I think it's a great packaging. Don't get me wrong. This is an amazing packaging. I would love this packaging with smaller pan sizes and a smaller price tag. There is reasons that the palette is as expensive as it is, but I would have loved for it to have been at a cheaper price point because I think it's a great formula. So let's get into that. So guys, I created this eye look today, and oh my gosh, I don't know what people are saying about the blending. I felt like these shadows blended really good. Now, granted, I only used the top row. Now, I used the top row because I figured that those were like maybe the darker shades in the palette and maybe were the ones that maybe people would have a harder time with. So I wanted to focus on the top row first. Of course, like I always tell you guys, I do review follow-ups that I tell you guys all the details of all the products I do first impressions on, maybe a month or 3 weeks out of using them and really trying them for a while. So of course, this is my first impression. When I do my review follow-up, I will tell you about the entire palette and every shade and everything that I've thought of this palette. But for right now, I really think this palette worked awesome. So let's go ahead and let's jump into me creating this look, and I'll let you guys hear my commentary while I was doing it because I think sometimes you guys want to know, what were you thinking when you did that? So here we're just gonna set my eyes really quickly with Smashbox Cali Contour. I'm just gonna use this shade right here. In my experience with most matte shadows, I don't love the way that they blend if you have a tacky eye. So I kind of like to put something down to kind of like get rid of that tackiness. That's just my experience. Everybody's gonna have different experiences when it comes to shadows. Just I like to set it down, especially if I'm gonna do like a matte eye. So let's jump into this guy. I'm just gonna go ahead and try to maybe I'll use this line down here and do an eye look with like this line. That's what interests me right now. I could also do up here. Which one should I do? Maybe I'll work with this top shade. I think I'm gonna work with these top shades right here, do a cool tone look. I have done a lot of warm tones lately, so why not? So I'm gonna start off with this color, Malia, and I'm just gonna kind of like reset what I did. These are nice and powdery. I like this shade just to set down the concealer. I also think it's a very brightening shade. Wow, that's very pretty. I like that. Okay, so now like to kind of like, maybe I'll deepen up a little bit with this color called Stone. It's kind of like a light color. pigmented matte. I think that's a very pigmented color, and that's a really unique color. I like this color Stone a lot. I'm gonna grab this color here called Rhino. I'm gonna lay that all over my lid. These are very powdery, just so you guys know. It makes quite a mess, but that's okay because they're very pigmented. So now I'm going to grab this color Savannah, and I'm just going to put that in the innermost part of the eye. In the crease. You get a lot of fallout. So of course I do my concealer always last, which actually kind of works really good when you have these type of problems of shadows that kind of fall out a lot. But if it's a very pigmented matte, I expect it to have fallout. I'm gonna jump into this color right here called Desert Date. I'm gonna kind of like go over the top very lightly. Don't press too hard. I don't have a problem with these shadows blending at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on this eye, and then we'll go ahead and work on the lower lash line. So I'm gonna get this color Desert Date. Then I'm gonna grab this Fata Morgana. Blend them together. That looks good to me. I don't know. I like it so far. So guys, that is the way I created this look, and I have to say, this is a beautiful eye look. I feel like it blended pretty. I feel like the color looks nice. I feel like this palette worked really good. Like, this is a very pretty matte look. And I will tell you guys, I'm not somebody who's like, I need mattes and I want a whole matte eye. I usually like to add a little bit of spice with some shimmers here and shimmer here, but I feel like these mattes, the way they performed, I like the way that they look just matte. I think they look really pretty, and I won't say that about a lot of other palettes. There's something special about her matte formula that I do think justifies the price tag because of the size of the pan that you get. But if the pan was smaller, I think the price tag could have gone down. I personally think this is a beautiful palette. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys all the swatches of all the colors in here. Some of these colors are very crumbly. It's extremely powdery as I'm applying it. Like, you can just tell that this is not going to swatch good. But I'm going to at least swatch them so that you guys can see what the colors look like. But after the swatch itself, like, they look like they just don't look good on swatches at all. All right, so those are my horrible swatches. So one of the things I was reading here that I don't feel like is completely accurate, it says here that these shadows are not dusty, which I do not agree with. I feel like they are very dusty. And it also has a zero fallout formula, which is ideal and yet very hard to find in a matte texture. I feel like there was a lot of fallout. I don't think it was crazy fallout, but I would say, I don't know why they say zero fallout. I don't think that that is true, but that doesn't bother me personally. I don't mind if a shadow palette has a lot of fallout. I don't mind if it has a lot of powder. As long as it performs good on my eyes, I'm okay with that, but I don't think that that is an accurate statement. I do think that this is a powdery product, and I do think that it does give you fallout, especially when you're using the darker colors. You are gonna see fallout because it is powder. So I've had this on for a few hours. Let's look at my eyes right now. I will tell you, if you guys look really closely, I do see a little bit of a crease line kind of forming a little bit. Do you guys see it a little bit here where the pigment is kind of detaching a little bit? I don't think it looks that pronounced. It's just a little bit. I want to see how this palette performs with wear tests, like throughout the day. But I would say, like, just off of using it for the first time, I really like the way it blended. I like the way it looks on my eyes. I do think it has a beautiful coloration. I like the way it worked. I am a little bit, tiny bit concerned with that little bit of a line that I'm starting to see appear on my lid. The only thing is, it's only on one eye, so I'm not 100% sure if it has anything to do with maybe the way I prepped my eye. It could also just be a fluke. That's why you have to use palettes multiple times to really get a grasp on whether they are patchy or if they have issues. I think it looks really nice. I like the way it performed. There will always be a review follow-up. I'm going to be using this palette nonstop so I can give you guys a real like, hey, is this worth it? Did it work good? So it does have a few issues that I think would make this palette a little bit difficult as a universal for everybody kind of palette. I think the first thing is definitely the colors. Even though they're so beautiful, I can see some of them mixed together might not make the most flattering color, so you kind of have to have an idea of colors. Another thing is they're extremely powdery and they do cause fallout. So if you guys don't like powdery shadows and you guys don't like fallout, you might not be too happy with this palette in that sense. Another thing is these shadows are super soft. So when you're blending them on the eyes, I feel like when you use a round circular motion, they work the best. I think that you do need to build them up a little bit. I feel like it's not like instantaneous pigmentation like crazy. I feel like you have to work with the shadows a little bit because they're so soft and because they blend so easily, they kind of like fade out a little bit, you know, but it's not like they fade out and like kind of like get patchy. Like, I wouldn't say that. I feel like there's a few things here that I can see maybe somebody being a little bit like, I'm not sure if I like that. For me personally, things that don't bother me are the problems with the palette. I don't mind powder. I don't mind fallout. I also don't mind having to work up a shadow, especially darker tones, because I feel like I like to work them up. I don't like to automatically just get like super dark pigment. I like to build things. So I would tell you guys, just know that. I think the packaging is very nice. You do get this plastic container. You get a really nice size mirror. I think this is travel friendly. I love that it has the pop outs in the back. I think I'll let you guys know if anything changes when I do my review follow-up, but for right now, I really like it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give me your thumbs up and leave me your comments below. If you guys did pick up this palette, let me know which colors are the ones I need to focus on, which are the ones that you think might be giving you the issues. And if you guys love this palette, just let me know below what you guys think. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will talk to you guys later, and bye.